Hooch. Informal alcoholic drink. Incriminate. Make someone appear guilty of a crime or wrongdoing. Infill. Material or buildings used to fill a space or hole. Inflame. Make something stronger or worse. Injurious. Causing or likely to cause harm or damage. Interminable. Endless or seemingly endless. Irrigate. Supply water to land or crops by means of channels. Keratin. A fibrous protein forming the main constituent of hair, feathers, hoofs, claws, and horns. Leery. Informal, cautious or wary. Lessee. A person who holds the lease of a property. Lodger. A person who pays rent to live in a property with the owner. Mastiff. A dog of a large, strong breed with drooping ears and lips. Melodious. Pleasant sounding, tuneful. Midshipman. A cadet in the U.S. Navy. Miffed. Informal, offended or irritated. Mistral. A strong, cold northwesterly wind that blows through the Rhône Valley and southern France. Non. Variant spelling of Nan. Nazarene. A native or inhabitant of the town of Nazareth in Israel. Newsstand. A stand for the sale of newspapers. One time. Former. Orthography. The conventional spelling system of a language. Ovate. Oval, egg-shaped. Pageantry. Elaborate display or ceremony. Penitent. Feeling sorrow and regret for having done wrong. Pentagram. A five-pointed star drawn using a continuous line, often used as a mystic and magical symbol. Philistin. A member of a people of ancient Palestine who came into conflict with the Israelites. Phlegm. A thick substance produced by the mucous membranes of the nose and throat, especially when one has a cold. Poacher. A pan for poaching eggs or. Pomeranian. A small breed of dog with long silky hair and a pointed muzzle. Precept. A general rule regulating behavior or thought. Precipitous. Dangerously high or steep. Profiteering. The making of an excessive profit in an unfair or dishonest way. Prude. A person who is easily shocked by matters relating to sex or nudity. Racecar. A car built for racing. Raglan. Having or referring to sleeves that continue in one piece up to the neck of a garment. Rapier. A thin, light sharp-pointed sword used for thrusting. Ravage. Cause severe damage to someone or something. Readjust. Set or adjust something again. Rifling. Spiral grooves on the inside of a rifle barrel. Riverbed. The bed or channel in which a river flows. Rood. A crucifix, especially one in a church. roundly, in an emphatic or blunt way. Sanctimonious, derogatory, making a show of being morally better than. Sate, satisfy a desire fully. Sequencer, an electronic device for storing sequences of musical notes, chords, or rhythms and transmitting them to an electronic musical instrument. Sorrel, an edible plant of the dock family with arrow-shaped leaves and a bitter flavor. Spanner, chiefly Brit. Speakeasy, informal, during Prohibition, a secret illegal drinking club. Spiritualism, the belief that it is possible to communicate with the spirits of the dead, especially through mediums. Staccato, and adjective music with each sound or note sharply separated from the others. Staid, respectable, serious, and unadventurous. Tatters, irregularly torn pieces of cloth, paper, etc. Tenderloin, the tenderest part of a loin of beef, pork, etc., taken from under the short ribs in the hindquarters. Thymus, a gland in the neck that produces white blood cells for the immune system. Tidewater, water brought or affected by tides. Timberland, land covered with forest suitable or managed for timber. Tomcat, a male domestic cat. Unappreciated, not fully understood, recognized, or valued. Uncaring, not sympathetic to or concerned about others. Uncharacteristic, not typical of a particular person or thing. Unplayable, not able to be played or played on. Valerian, a plant with clusters of small pink, red, or white flowers. Waddle, walk with short steps and a clumsy swaying motion. Watchable, fairly enjoyable to watch. Wherewithal, the money or other resources needed for a particular purpose. Wombat, a burrowing Australian marsupial that resembles a small bear with short legs. Workweek, the total number of hours or days worked in a week. Absenteeism, frequent absences from work or school without good reason. Aficionado, a person who is very knowledgeable and enthusiastic about an activity or subject. Ajar, and adjective, of a door or window, slightly open. Antipsychotic, a drug used to treat psychotic disorders. Apogee, the highest point in the development of something. Backboard, a board placed at or forming the back of something, such as a collage or piece of electronic equipment. Bandstand, a platform for a band to play on, covered if out of doors. Banyan, an Indian fig tree with spreading branches from which roots grow downward to the ground and form new trunks. Barnyard, a farmyard. Begrudge, feel envious that someone possesses or enjoys something. Biogas, gaseous fuel, especially methane, produced by the fermentation of organic matter. Bishopric, The position or diocese of a bishop. Blacking. Black paste or polish. Blimey. Brit. Bookish. Devoted to reading and studying. Brioche. A small, round, sweet French roll. Bushing. A metal lining for a hole in which something fits or revolves. Byline. A line in a newspaper naming the writer of an article. Captor. A person who captures or confines another. Caw. The harsh cry of a crow, rook, or similar bird. Ceaseless. Constant, never stopping. Chinchilla. A small South American rodent with soft gray fur and a long bushy tail. Chrysanthemum. A garden plant of the daisy family with brightly colored flowers. Conflagration. A large and destructive fire. Congenial. Of a person, pleasant to be with because their qualities or interests are similar to one's own. Cover-up. An attempt to conceal a mistake or crime. Crozier. A hooked staff carried by a bishop. Humulus. Humuli/-1i-1a/, towed forming rounded masses heaped on each other above a flat base. Decathlon. A track and field event in which each competitor takes part in the same 10 events. Depressant. A drug or other substance that slows down the natural processes of the body. Despotic. Ruling with absolute power, tyrannical. Disallow. Declare something to be invalid. Disulfide. Chemistry: a sulfide containing 2 atoms of sulfur in its molecule or empirical formula. Doghouse. A dog's kennel. Doubleheader. A sporting makes much money. Drivetrain. The system in a motor vehicle that connects the transmission to the drive axles. Dropper. A short glass tube with a drudgery rubber bulb at one end, for measuring out drops of liquid. Dysphoria. A state of unease or general dissatisfaction. Enchant. Fill someone with delight. Equalize. Make or become equal. Eschew. Deliberately avoid doing or being involved in something. Expressionism. A style in art, music, or drama in which the artist or writer seeks to express the inner world of emotion rather than external reality. Extrovert. An outgoing, socially confident person. Figment. A thing that exists only in a person's imagination. Firmament. Literary: the heavens, the sky. Fleck. A very small patch of color or light. Fondant. A thick paste made of sugar and water, used in making candy and cake icing. Foolhardy. Bold in a reckless way. Freeware. Software that is available free of charge. Furrow. A long, narrow trench made in the ground by a plow. Gaffer. The chief electrician in a movie or television production unit. Gaiety. The state or quality of being light-hearted and cheerful. Galleon. Historical, a large square-rigged sailing ship with 3 or more decks and masts. Genitive. The grammatical case of a word that is used to show possession or close association. Glycerol. A colorless, sweet liquid formed as a byproduct in soap manufacture, used in making cosmetics, explosives, and antifreeze. Granary. A storehouse for threshed grain. Gravitas. A dignified and serious manner. Greenback. Informal, $1. Gutless. Informal, lacking courage or determination. Haywire. Informal, out of control. Heredity. The passing on of physical or mental characteristics genetically from one generation to another. Hymen. A membrane that partially closes the opening of the vagina and is usually broken on the first occasion a woman or girl has sex. Inaugurate. Introduce a new system, project, or period. Inexhaustible. Available in unlimited quantities. Inexorable. Impossible to stop or prevent. Infinitive. The basic form of a verb, often occurring in English with the word to, as in to see, to ask. Knead. Work dough or clay with the hands. Leapfrog. A game in which players in turn vault with parted legs over others who are bending down. Lemur. A primate with a pointed snout and a long tail that lives in trees in Madagascar. Liken. Point out that someone or something is similar to, compare. Lovemaking. Sexual intercourse and other sexual activity. Magnetite. A gray-black magnetic mineral that is an important form of iron ore. Moribund. At the point of death. Mulatto. Offense of a person with one white and one black parent. Multicast. Send data across a computer network to several users at the same time. Needlework. Sewing or embroidery. Nematode. A worm of a group with slender, unsegmented, cylindrical bodies, such as a roundworm or threadworm. Neurosis. Relatively mild mental disorder involving symptoms such as depression, anxiety, obsessive behavior, or hypochondria. Newlywed. A recently married person. Nominative. Grammar, the case used for the subject of a verb. No-no. Informal, a thing that is not possible or acceptable. Northland. Literary, the northern part of a country or region. Nougat. A candy made from sugar or honey, nuts, and egg white. Nuptial. Relating to marriage or weddings. Obligate. Have a moral or legal duty to do something. Outerwear. Clothing worn over other clothes, especially outdoors. Parley. Turn an asset, situation, etc., into something much better or more valuable. Peony. A plant grown for its large white, pink, or red flowers. Perceptible. Able to be seen or noticed. Perinatal. Relating to the time immediately before and after a birth. Pester. Trouble or annoy someone with persistent requests or interruptions. Phonetics. The study and classification of speech sounds. Poltergeist. A supernatural being supposedly responsible for throwing objects around. Pythagorean. Relating to the Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, c. 580–500 BC, or his philosophy. Ragtime. N. Rebar. Reinforcing steel, especially as rods in concrete. Recliner. An upholstered armchair that can be tilted backward, especially one with a footrest. Reconfigure. Configure something differently. Redevelop. Develop something again or differently. Refurbish. Renovate and redecorate a building or room. Riesling. A dry white wine made from a variety of grape grown especially in Germany and Austria. Sadism. The desire to gain sexual or other pleasure from hurting or humiliating other people. Saturate. Soak thoroughly with a liquid. Scrupulous. Very careful and thorough. Sealer. A device or substance used to make something airtight or watertight. Says. Non-standard spelling of says, used in representing uneducated speech. Shortcoming. A failure to meet a certain standard, a fault or weakness. Smock. A loose dress or blouse with the upper part closely gathered in smocking. Soca. Calypso music with elements of soul, originally from Trinidad. Socratic. Relating to the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates or his ideas. Solute. The minor component in a solution, dissolved in the solvent. Sombrero. A broad-brimmed hat, typically worn in Mexico and the southwestern U.S. Southerner. A person from the south of a region or country. Southpaw. Informal, a left-handed person. Starchy. Of food, containing a lot of starch. Statuary. Statues considered as a group. Stereoscopic. Able to see objects as three-dimensional forms. Stoneware. A type of hard and impermeable pottery. Systematics. The branch of biology that deals with classification and nomenclature, taxonomy. Tidbit. A small piece of tasty food. Torturous. Involving or causing 1378 total pain or suffering. Torus. Geometry, a surface or solid resembling a ring-shaped donut, formed by rotating a closed curve about a line that lies in the same plane but does not intersect it. Touristy. Informal, often derogatory, appealing to or visited by many tourists. Transceiver. A combined radio transmitter and receiver. Twitchy. Informal, nervous, anxious. Unassisted. Not helped by anyone or anything. Unranked. Not having achieved or been given a rank or ranking. Unsophisticated. Lacking experience or taste in matters of culture or fashion. Vitriolic. Filled with bitterness or malice. Watercraft. 14-oat or other vessel. Waterlogged. Saturated with or full of water. Wisteria. A climbing plant with hanging clusters of bluish lilac flowers. Addled. Humorous, confused or puzzled. Aftershave. A scented lotion for putting on a man's face after shaving. Airdrop. An act of dropping supplies, troops, or equipment by parachute. Alarmist. A person who exaggerates a danger, so causing needless alarm. Ameliorate. Formal, make something that is bad or unsatisfactory better. Americanism. A word or phrase used or originating in the U.S. Amium/americium/P. Noun, a radioactive metallic chemical element made by high-energy atomic collisions. Anemone. A plant having brightly colored flowers with dark centers. Antifreeze. A liquid added to water to prevent it from freezing, used in the radiator of a motor vehicle. Asinine. Extremely stupid or foolish. Body. Dealing with sex in a comical way. Begum. Indian one, a Muslim woman of high rank. Belfry. The place in a bell tower or steeple in which bells are housed. Bemused. Confused or bewildered. Bicker. Argue about unimportant things. Blitzkrieg. An intense military campaign intended to bring about a rapid victory. Boozer. Informal, a person who drinks large quantities of alcohol. Bramble. A prickly shrub of the rose family, especially a blackberry. Carbonyl. Chemistry, a radical consisting of a carbon atom linked to an oxygen atom, present in aldehydes and many other organic compounds. Catty. Spiteful. Claustrophobia. Extreme or irrational fear of being in an enclosed place. Cornucopia. An abundant supply of good things. Crustacean. An animal with a hard outer shell, usually living in water, such as a crab, lobster, or shrimp. Curia. The papal court at the Vatican, by which the Roman Catholic Church is governed. Daffodil. A plant bearing bright yellow flowers with a long trumpet-shaped center. Debutante. A person making a debut. Delineate. Describe or indicate something precisely. Demure. Of a woman, reserved, modest, and shy. Disinterest. The state of being impartial. Electrophoresis. The movement of charged particles in a fluid or gel under the influence of an electric field. Encyclopedic. Having detailed information on a wide variety of subjects. Estrangement. The state of being estranged. Ethnology. The study of the characteristics of different peoples and the differences and relationships between them. Extenuating. Showing reasons why an offense should be treated less seriously. Fallible. Capable of making mistakes or being wrong. Filigree. Delicate ornamental work of thin wire. Fissile. Of an atom or element able to undergo nuclear fission. Furtherance. The action of helping a scheme or plan to progress. Futon. A Japanese padded mattress with no springs, able to be rolled up when not in use. Gangland. The world of criminal gangs. Georgette. A thin silk or crepe dress material. Glabrous. Technical, free from hair or down, smooth. Gnaw. Bite at or nibble something persistently. Godson. A male godchild. Gravelly. Resembling, containing, ing of gravel. Grizzled. Having gray or gray-streaked hair. Hammam. A Turkish bath. Hermetic. Of a seal or closure, complete and airtight. Hippopotamus. A large African mammal with a thick skin and massive jaws, living partly on land and partly in water. Hod. A builder's V-shaped open trough attached to a short pole, used for carrying bricks. Hoopla. Informal excitement surrounding an event or situation. Hyperinflation. Inflation of prices or wages occurring at a very high rate. Incantation. Word said as a magic spell or charm. Inhumanity. Cruel or brutal behavior. Inoffensive. Not objectionable or harmful. Inscrutable. Impossible to understand or interpret. Intercede. Intervene on behalf of someone. Irrepressible. Not able to be controlled or restrained. Jove. Dated, used for emphasis or to indicate surprise. Knitwear. Knitted garments. Kundalini. Latent female energy believed to lie coiled at the base of the spine. Leninism. Marxism as interpreted and applied by the Soviet Premier Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Lithograph. A print made by lithography. Lockup. A makeshift jail. Lope. Run with a long bounding stride. Lucent. Literary, glowing with or giving off light, shining. Marl. A type of yarn or fabric with differently colored threads. Meiosis. Biology, the division of a cell that results in 4 cells, each with half the number of chromosomes of the original cell. Miser. A person who hoards wealth and spends as little as possible. Mock-up. A model of a machine or structure that is used for teaching or testing. Moslem. And adjective variant spelling of Muslim. Myopia. Nearsightedness. Myrrh. A sweet-smelling resin obtained from certain trees and used in perfumes, medicines, and incense. Newsreel. A short film of news and current affairs. Nitrite. A salt or ester of nitrous acid. Parsonage. A church house provided for a parson. Perfectionism. The refusal to be satisfied with something unless it is done perfectly. Phosphor. A synthetic fluorescent or phosphorescent substance. Pierrot. A male character in French pantomime, with a sad white painted face, a loose white costume, and a pointed hat. Porpoise. A small-toothed whale with a blunt rounded snout. Portmanteau. A large traveling bag made of stiff leather and opening into two equal parts. PPA. Informal, a person's father. Pseudoscience. Beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific methods. Puritanical. Having a very strict or critical attitude toward self-indulgent behavior. Quitter. Informal, a person who gives up easily. Rafter. A beam forming part of the internal framework of a roof. Reedy. Of a sound or voice, high and thin in tone. Rheumatic. Relating to or having rheumatism. Roadkill. Animals killed on the road by a vehicle. Rostrum. A raised platform on which a person stands to make a public speech, play music, or conduct an orchestra. Sagebrush. A shrubby aromatic North American plant of the daisy family. Scalloped. Decorated with a series of small curves. Sealant. Material used to make something airtight or watertight. Segue. In music, movies, television, etc., move without interruption from one song, melody, or scene to another. Sequin. A small shiny disc sewn onto clothing for decoration. Shackle. Shackles, a pair of metal rings connected by a chain, used to fasten a prisoner's wrists or ankles together. Shapely. Having an attractive or well-proportioned shape. Shellac. Lac resin melted into thin flakes, used for making varnish. Slurp. Eat or drink something with a loud sucking sound. Springbok. A southern African gazelle that leaps. Stilted. Not natural, relaxed, or flowing easily. Suds. Froth made from soap and water. Sunburst. A design or ornament representing the sun and its rays. Supplant. Take the place of. Sweatshop. A factory or workshop employing workers for long hours in poor conditions. Townsfolk. Another term for townspeople. Town. Tubal. Relating to or occurring in a tube, especially the fallopian tubes. Tuft. A bunch of threads, grass, or hair, held or growing together at the base. Turpentine. A substance produced by certain trees, distilled to make oil of turpentine. Twang. 1. A strong ringing sound such as that made by the plucked string of a musical instrument. Underpass. A road or pedestrian tunnel passing under another road or a railroad. Undeterred. Persevering despite setbacks. Unhappily. In an unhappy manner. Unoriginal. Lacking originality. Unpalatable. Not pleasant to taste. Unwrap. Remove the wrapping from something. Vanadium. A hard gray metallic chemical element, used to make alloy steels. Vernal. Relating to the season of spring. Vibrato. A rapid, slight variation in pitch in singing or playing some musical instruments, producing a stronger or richer tone. Wale. An eye with a streaked or opaque white iris. Westerner. A person from the West, especially from Western Europe or North America. Whisker. A long hair or bristle growing from the face or snout of an animal. Whorl. Each of the turns in the spiral shell of a mollusk. Wordy. Using or expressed in too many words. Wraparound. Curving or extending around at the sides. Accelerometer. An instrument for measuring the acceleration of a moving vehicle. Acrimonious. Angry and bitter. Adverb. A word or phrase that gives more information about an adjective, verb, other adverb, or a sentence, e.g., gently, very, fortunately. Anarchic. Having no controlling rules or principles. Arras. A tapestry wall hanging. Bahamian. A person from the Bahamas. Bandy. Of a person's legs, curved outward so that the knees are wide apart. Bandy. Pass on or discuss an idea, rumor, or name in a casual or uninformed way. Barnacle. A small shellfish that attaches itself permanently to underwater surfaces. Bendy. Capable of bending, flexible. Bevy. A large group of people or things. Bioengineering. Genetic engineering. Chivalrous. Polite and gallant, especially toward women. Conformist. A person who behaves or thinks in the same way as most other people, rather than in an original or unconventional way. Contemptible. Deserving to be hated or despised. Cower. Shrink back or crouch down in fear. Crackpot. Informal and eccentric or foolish person. Cubby. A cubbyhole. Culvert. A tunnel carrying a stream or open drain under a road or railroad. Decibel. A unit of measurement expressing the intensity of a sound or the power of an electrical signal. Dereliction. The state of having been abandoned and become dilapidated. Dimer. Chemistry. A molecule consisting of two identical molecules linked together. Disinfect. Clean something with a disinfectant in order to destroy bacteria. Dissension. Disagreement that causes trouble within a group. Distributive. Relating to distribution or things that are distributed. Dour. Very severe, stern, or gloomy. Efficacious. Successful in producing an intended effect, effective. Ejaculate. Of a man or male animal, eject semen from the penis at the moment of orgasm. Electromechanical. Referring to a mechanical device that is electrically operated. Embellish. Make something more attractive, decorate. Entrails. A person's or animal's intestines or internal organs. Eroticism. The quality of being erotic. Falsify. Alter information or evidence so as to mislead others. Febrile. Having or showing the symptoms of a fever. Flail. Swing or wave one's arms or legs wildly. Freakish. Bizarre or grotesque, abnormal. Freeform. Not an irregular or formal structure. Guardsman. Guardsman, a member of the U.S. National Guard. Gunship. A heavily armed helicopter. Guttural. Of a speech sound, produced in the throat and harsh sounding. Gyroscope. A device used to provide stability or maintain a fixed direction, consisting of a wheel or disc spinning rapidly about an axis that is itself free to alter in direction. Hammy. Informal, of acting, exaggerated or overly theatrical. Hellcat. A spiteful, violent woman. Hellhole. A very unpleasant place. Hoodoo. A run or cause of bad luck. Hygienist. A person working with a dentist who specializes in scaling and polishing teeth and giving advice on oral hygiene. Hypertext. Computing a software system allowing users to move quickly between related documents or sections of text. Illegible. Not clear enough to be read. Impertinent. Not showing proper respect. Indefatigable. Never tiring or stopping. Instrumentalist. A player of a musical instrument. Ladyship. A respectful way of referring to or addressing a woman who has a title, a wise maid. Languish. Grow weak or feeble. Larch. A northern coniferous tree with bunches of deciduous bright green needles and tough wood. Looker. A person with a particular appearance. Magyar. A member of the predominant people in Hungary. Malady. Literary a disease or illness. Mastodon. A large extinct elephant-like mammal. Meritocracy. A society in which power is held by the people with the greatest ability. Miscellany. A collection of different things. Moravian. A person from Moravia in the Czech Republic. Moxie. Informal force of character, determination, or nerve. Necktie. A strip of material worn beneath a collar, tied in a knot at the front. Neoprene. A synthetic substance resembling rubber. Nightgown. A light, loose garment worn by a woman or girl in bed. Nightshade. A plant related to the potato, typically having poisonous black or red berries. Nosy. Variant spelling of nosy. Nub. The nub, the central point of a matter. Outmoded. Old-fashioned. Passerby. A person who happens to be walking past something or someone. Pertussis. Medical term for whooping cough. Peyote. A small cactus native to Mexico and the southern U.S. Pillowcase. A removable cloth cover for a pillow. Privatize. Transfer a business or industry from public to private ownership. Prolapse. A condition in which a part or organ of the body has slipped forward or down. Quinta. In Spain, Portugal, and Latin America, a large country house. Recalcitrant. Obstinately uncooperative or disobedient. Regretful. Feeling or showing regret. Reminiscence. A story told by a person about a past event that they remember. Repulse. Drive back an attacking enemy by force. Roti. In Indian cooking, bread, especially a flat round bread cooked on a griddle. Satanism. The worship of Satan. Semaphore. A system of sending messages by holding one's arms or two flags or poles in certain positions that represent letters of the alphabet. Shoebox. Informal, a very small room. Sicko. Informal, a perverted person. Smithy. A blacksmith's workshop. Snooty. Informal, treating people as if they are socially inferior, snobbish. Snotty. Informal, one full of or covered with mucus from the nose. Stickler. A person who insists on a certain quality or type of behavior. Subjunctive. Grammar, of a verb, expressing what is imagined or wished or possible. Subsist. Manage to stay alive, especially with limited resources. Sulk. Be silent, bad-tempered, and resentful as a result of annoyance or disappointment. Sunspot. A temporary darker and cooler patch on the sun's surface. Tedium. The state of being tedious. Tittle. A tiny amount or part of something. Toddy. A drink made of liquor with hot water and sugar. Topsoil. The top layer of soil. Triumvirate. A group of three powerful or important people or things. Troubleshoot. Analyze and solve problems for an organization. Underwrite. RDT, Andy, R, rat slash, past part underwritten slash anda, R, written, onda, R, written slash, one sign and accept liability under an insurance policy. Undesired. Not wanted or desired. Unimpressive. Not impressive.